here's Brody Brazil.
You know, if you're Major League Baseball, there really is never a good time to find out that maybe a third of your teams might be losing their television contracts and the associated money and income that comes with it. However, that's what's happening right now as the playoffs are just underway. There's been a huge television shakeup in the baseball world as it relates to the Diamond Sports Group, which operates the Bally Sports networks across the country. And this is nothing new, some turmoil and tension and bankruptcy. It's been going on for quite some time. It's just that now Bally Sports is saying they are basically out with the 12 teams they had arrangements for in 2024. They're out on 11 of those, basically everybody with the exception of the Atlanta Braves for 2025. Before we get into the deep details here, let me just try and go surface level for everybody so you can really understand what's at stake here. Television networks, they pay teams in all sports, but here in Major League Baseball, for the rights to broadcast baseball games. And these contracts are usually worth a 9-figure range annually, hundreds of millions of dollars every single year paid from the networks to the teams for the rights to broadcast the games. Now, the networks make their money back in subscriber fees or advertising or partnerships, things like that. But here's how baseball makes basically 23% of their revenue as of 2023. This information coming to us via Sportico and graphically depicted by the great Twitter/X account, Brooksgate. 23% is the third largest way that Major League Baseball makes money for its teams. Ticket sales are number one. The national television deals are number two. But right behind it are the local television, regional television deals that we're talking about here. And as it relates to the Bally Sports chain of networks, 12 teams is more than a third of the league's 30 total teams. So it gives you an idea that this is significant, a significant piece of the pie, and a significant amount of teams are being affected here. Evan Drellick of The Athletic did some great coverage. I'll pick up what he's saying on the website. I'll also link to this article down below so you can read it in full. Here are some of the portions that are most meaningful and stood out to me. Diamond Sports Group appears to be threatening to drop virtually every MLB team in its portfolio besides the Atlanta Braves, barring renegotiation of the deals on more favorable terms. The court hearing on Wednesday, where that message was delivered, left the baseball television world in some chaos. Essentially, they're saying we'll keep the Braves. We're pretty much out on everything else unless there is renegotiation on more network favorable terms, right? The networks are going to pay a lot less money. That's the only way it seems like they're back in this. Andrew Goldman, a lawyer for the broadcasting company, said during a federal bankruptcy hearing that Diamond plans to assume a, quote, single telecast rights agreement, that of the Atlanta Braves. All of the other teams, all of Major League Baseball's other agreements will be rejected under the plan. To be clear, all of the Bally agreements with the other Major League Baseball teams will be rejected under the plan, end quote. Diamond Sports is trying to get out of bankruptcy with the RSNs that they own, the Bally sports networks. That statement does not mean Diamond, which carried those dozen teams in 2024, now has only one team in its portfolio for the 2025 season. Two of them, the Detroit Tigers and Tampa Bay Rays, are out for the moment after Diamond rejected their contracts. But how many MLB teams Diamond will ultimately carry in 2025 is very much up in the air. And Diamond's message to the league is that it wants to renegotiate the remaining deals. Jim Bromley, a lawyer for Major League Baseball, said the league had no idea that Wednesday's news was coming, that Bally is going to back out of those 12 deals, or at least 11 of them. Quote, "We had no information about what is being done," Bromley said. "It's unfortunate that we've been sandbagged in this way," end quote. The drama came Wednesday in a status update hearing, which saw Diamond file a revised get-out-of-bankruptcy plan to the court right when the hearing began. So Diamond came out and said, well, here's our new plan. We're going to dump, or at least try to renegotiate 11 of the 12 deals. We'll keep one. We'll try to work on these other 11. But again, the expectation is maybe that won't be reached. And the Bally Sports networks across the country, this is from 2023 when it was a little bit more full-fledged. To be clear, I think those Arizona teams are not connected to the Bally Sports Arizona, and San Diego doesn't exist either. In fact, Baseball took over the San Diego Padres television broadcasts here in 2024, and they did a streaming package. And that's what baseball would likely do with any of these teams that can't find a new agreement with the Bally Sports Network in their region. Baseball would probably take it over as they are kind of slowly inching towards providing their own, direct-to-consumer product anyway, their own streaming service anyway. But when you do that, you're not getting the rights fees. Like if you do it all on your own, you're obviously paying for production, you're paying for a lot of things, and you're getting the revenue from the streaming customers directly. But you're not getting one big check that Bally Sports Networks were cutting to have these teams broadcast on their respective channels. But you can see how that's a large portion of the country. That's a lot of teams. There were other leagues there, the NBA, the NHL. So the Diamond Sports Group obviously has this issue with the Bally Sports Networks and their baseball teams. What does it mean for basketball and hockey teams on Bally? That remains to be seen, but obviously the baseball part of this is pretty telling. According to MLBTradeRumors.com, now how does this affect baseball as a business, right? If the streaming money is less and it's all up in the air, what happens this offseason? Well, as mentioned, the league has already started selling some games to fans in direct-to-customer fashion. And that's what we've seen in San Diego. So they're offering a streaming package, baseball, straight from the Padres, straight to you. No TV network involved. But they just don't get as much money from it. Commissioner Rob Manfred has aspirations of marketing a digital streaming package consisting of several MLB teams, which fans could watch without blackout restrictions. Problem is, there's a lot of teams that still have a very good relationship with their TV network. And so do you try and get everybody on board, all the teams on board with this new streaming service? Or what about the teams that are perfectly happy with their regional network partner? Having less commitment with Diamond going forward will increase the viability of that streaming plan over the years to come. However, as mentioned, by them and now by me, less TV revenue with streaming figures to have a sizable impact on the short-term economics of the game. This will lead to ripple effects throughout the upcoming offseason and will likely be worrisome for certain players hitting the open market in the coming weeks. Why? Because teams are realizing, that TV deal we had lined up for 2025 and pick a number, $137 million that we were due from the TV network that's now pulling that away. It's a different way to operate for those baseball teams. New deals could be negotiated between now and the 2025 season, which could put some money back on the table, though likely less than in previous years. Again, if they're renegotiating at the sake of the network and the money's going to be less, so you either know it's going to be less money or no money, or you're doing your own streaming package, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty for these teams as it relates to their income. So let's get to our takeaways here. Number one, I can't stress enough how important that local and regional rights package is for most teams and the income they get and their revenue and Major League Baseball's success. Yeah, the ticket sales are important. The national package is important. Merchandise, concessions, all that stuff. But the regional television deals, you saw it, make up about 25% of baseball income. At least they did last year. And some teams are out there right now saying, well, I'm sorry that other teams are dealing with this struggle. But about a third of the teams right now fall under this Bally Sports umbrella. What about the other almost 20 teams? Let's say, 18 teams? 17 teams maybe 19 teams that aren't dealing with this? I mean, are they fine to just let these other teams struggle? What if baseball wants to do the streaming service? Does it, like I said before, does it need everybody? Does everybody have to be all in? How do you take away teams that are doing just fine with their networks and their partnerships and their income and their revenue and everybody's happy? How do you tell those teams we need to change your model? I don't know that you can even do that if you're baseball. So do you just take these teams that are missing packages? I heard the Texas Rangers, they were part of the Bally group and now they're out. They're on the outside looking in. I heard that it's their ambition to start up their own television package and sell it either on local television or streaming and or both. But I think the main point here is that the future of baseball games being televised, it kind of feels like the very wild, wild west. It really does. in a sense that nothing is for certain, nothing is laid out. Yeah, I mean, the teams that have their contracts with networks, that is established. And so long as things are fine, those will continue. But here and now, when you've got a network like this pulling out and a group pulling out away from their arrangements and saying, well, the only way we can do this is if we renegotiate, and then baseball wants to turn around and go streaming, like there is just a lot going on here. There's a lot to be settled and figured out. There's a lot of dust to settle right now with the amount of dust that got kicked up in this television shakeup. So I know that's maybe a bit deep in the weeds for a lot of you. Maybe you don't even care about how you watch games. Ultimately, you'll find it. I know there's some people out there like that, but I do think, to the point of MLBTradeRumors.com, is that some of this is going to affect baseball. Like it's going to affect the money, the contracts, how much teams spend, how teams all of a sudden have a change of course. I don't know what teams are going to be most affected or least affected. I mean, like the Dodgers, they're fine. This does not affect them at all. They're already spending a ton of money. But there's a lot of teams of those 11 who are not the Atlanta Braves of the total 12. What are they going to do? When will they figure this out? How will they approach this offseason, not exactly knowing their financial situation? Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Also, while you're down there, thumbs up on this video. I would really appreciate that. Helps me, this video, and this channel. Also, take one quick second to make sure that you are already subscribed here on the YouTube channel. That way, I definitely get to see you back here next time.